all the answers for you in here. We've got 10 minutes, so let's get it over with. It's a really fast and furious lunchtime today. So we're looking at superpowers for ChatGPT, specifically looking at 5 problems that this superpowers plugin or extension for Chrome, Edge, and Firefox are going to fix for you. So let's look at what those problems are that are solved in this product. 1, you want to export your prompts. That's a pretty obvious one. Who doesn't want to export their prompts? What we need to do is to be able to get a way of getting it out. There's been some plugins for that. Copying and pasting it into a Word document or a Google Docs, excuse me, isn't the answer because it copies across all this weird formatting and it's just unusable. You have to go and clear it all, and it bunches everything together once you do. It's just an absolute mess. So what we're going to do is look at how that looks over in ChatGPT. I'm going to share my other window and open up ChatGPT with the Superpower plugin all in place. Let's see what that looks like now. I'll just reshare my screen to the right one. It's always a mess of screen sharing and unsharing and lots of different things. So let's have a look at what we can share. Oh, the new chat in ChatGPT now coming up on your screen should be now visible to you. So what we see here now is a way to export those. So if I've got my podcast script over here, which is a bit of a teaser on how I actually do my daily podcast, is I generate most of it in here and then ad lib around the points. So what I need to do, if I want to export this into something rather than just copying and pasting, which doesn't do a great job, to be honest, you can hit export here and it gives you the option to go as markdown, which is probably not what you want to use. What you probably want to use is text. Text then is the best way for you to get that out. So if I text it, it then saves as a text file on my computer. So then I can just copy and paste it into anything I like without all the nasty formatting errors. And it's just a much neater and much more tidy way of doing that. Now, that's a really good thing. We really like that idea, the idea that you can export and select any number of formats, that any number of your chats. So it doesn't even like just one chat. You can export all of your chats. There's actually an export all button over there as well. I'll reshare and be able to see how that works and how you can just not just export one thing, but export everything. So let's just say I've got a whole lot of chats over here in my left-hand column. You know, it's looking a little bit busier than what the average kind of ChatGPT window looks like because there's lots of additional things in here. I can go export all and it will do the same. If I make it to text, there's 6 chats that I want to do. So I export them and off they go. I won't do that here for today because I really don't need that extra export. So that's a really good feature that's going to help make life just that little bit easier. When we move on to the second one, so we're looking now at the idea of moving beyond just exporting. Now we want to sort of get a little bit more organized in here because let's face it, ChatGPT is not the most organized interface. It's not the most neat and tidy interface, and it feels really disorganized. So I want to get my chats looking a lot more organized than what they are. So how do we do that? Well, what we're going to do is then move over to the idea that we can create folders, and we can now create lots of different ways of organizing our ChatGPT information. Over on the left, we've now got folders. So if I want to create for this empathy and digital marketing article that I'm starting to generate the outline for, I can create a new folder, call it, from the top left-hand side, if you're having trouble seeing that, articles. And then I've got a new folder that I can drag this into. At the moment, it's not there. I'm just going to drag it in there. Now it's associated with the articles folder, which means now I've got my chats and my prompts all organized. So when I want to continue on from that previous chat or that previous prompt I've done before, I've got the ability to go straight to those articles and move them around. I can also reorder things. So I can put scripts on top of articles if I use my scripts more often, or my articles on top of scripts if I wish to do that. So that's a really good way to highlight that you really need to do something a bit more than just simply have one long list of ChatGPT scripts and plugins and prompts and all sorts of things in there. And for some of us, it gets up to 100. I regularly clean mine out, so it makes a little bit of a difference, but most people don't. Most people are going to just go, well, I'm just going to do what I can and just let them and just scroll down until I find the one I want. This way you can move them around. You can pin them as favorites as well. So my podcast script is definitely a favorite. So I can pin that as a favorite as well, which is a really handy thing to be able to keep it at the top of the list that I may be using. So if you really want to get a lot more out of that kind of thing, then you've got the ability to be able to do it, not just have that big, long, laborious list that you always have to keep working through all the time. Now, something happens when we update ChatGPT. It's really, really annoying. and the updates that I've had prior, it loses all my chats. There's no guarantee that ChatGPT is going to hold on to all of your chats and keep them nice there and handy for you. Pretty much every time I get an update, I lose my whole history of chats. This now goes away with Superpower for ChatGPT, and I'll show you soon how to get hold of that in your browser. What it does allow me to do is then to be able to go and be able to work on a script and share it, but it then auto syncs it. So the auto sync is a little, you can see it sort of down the bottom here. If you can see my mouse there, I'm just going to close that window. There you go, that synced button down there. What that does is syncs a copy within my browser history and within my browser's saved files. So whether you're using Chrome or Edge or Firefox, it will then sync a copy of that. So no matter what ChatGPT does, you're going to have a copy of that available, even if it goes missing from over here on the left, which it won't, because it's already synced to your computer. So you just start up the computer again, and off you go. The problem with that is, though, that if you use multiple devices for this, you're only going to see this on the one device, so it doesn't sign in to here as well. So they're working on a version that's going to sync that across multiple devices, so it doesn't lose it and doesn't become unusable when you're on a different device. Because otherwise, it becomes a little bit annoying, because what you want to be able to do is access things across all your different devices. So thankfully, they've got a solution for that coming up very, very soon. So moving on from losing your chat GPT and being able to get it by having that automatically syncing to your computer, then we can move on to, I want control over the style and the tone and the language of what chat GPT is pushing out. Well, how can we achieve that? ChatGPT doesn't make it easy for you. It doesn't really help you with languages unless you specify languages within your prompts. With Superpower for ChatGPT, it allows that to happen. This free plugin or extension for Chrome, for Firefox, and for Edge allows you to control these things. So let's take a look at what that looks like, because it's actually an amazing tool that I've made so much use of already when writing stuff for Bahasa Indonesia and some Hindi as well, which is something I didn't expect to be able to do. So up in the top right-hand corner, we've got our tones here. So there's a whole lot of different tones that you can choose from. Everything from confident, which I use quite a lot, clinical, authoritative, cynical, emotional, right down to even humorous, informal, optimistic, or even playful. You can choose from those different tones, and it will generate that next thing using that tone. The other thing you've got is a writing style, which is going between things like academic, analytical, descriptive, epigrammatic. I don't even know what that means, but it sounds fantastic. Instructive, informative, narrative, which is, I use that a lot because I tell a lot of stories and do a lot of storytelling. So for me, that's one of my favorite ones. And then the magic language switcher over here. So we can switch instantly between all these different languages. So if I go like I did with Indonesian, I can regenerate that response now in Indonesian. Well, it's not doing it right yet. I need to do a new version in Indonesian, but I'll get that up in just a second. So if I go for a new chat, I want to do it in Indonesian in a confident narrative style. I will say, generate an article about traveling to Lombok. There we go. And let's see it do that in Indonesian. So here we go. There we go. So we've now got that coming up in Indonesian. And if I want to start a new chat, it's important that you start a new chat when it comes to that. So we can then translate that backwards and forwards if we need to. Notice how it's put in the language of Indonesian there, the confident tone, and the narrative writing style. So this is going to help you a lot if you need to do some special landing pages for what you're doing that has that kind of language in there. So I'm going to stop sharing that for now and move over to the next major tool in here, the fifth tool in our bucket of tools. And really, so far, this has already paid for itself at $0, but I want to show you this next one. I want ideas from people who do prompts all the time that are really successful and have getting a lot out of it. So this is where we look at not just the idea that you will make your own prompts and save them, but we're going to get prompts from other people as well. And it's from what we call the community. So I'm going to share the screen for the community now, and you'll be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. And it is great. So over on the left, we've got a community prompts. Clicking on that will open up a new window on top. And at the moment, I've got it set to English. a category of all, sort by new. So I want maybe the newest things in there, or I can say by the most used or the most votes. So I'm going to say most used. So what are popular ones? The category for me is going to be in copywriting. And I'm going to say here for a Facebook ad. So in that, I hit enter and let's see what it has for Facebook ads in the most used. So it helps if I spell Facebook right. Hey, let's see what that does. It's thinking, it's thinking, it's thinking. Come on, give me some copywriting in the most used and most popular versions in English for Facebook ads. It's taking its time, is it? It's got a whole bunch of things that it's doing. It's just being a little bit slow. Let's try something else. Let's just say a journalistic article, or it's just an article. Something nice. There we go. So, a super SEO optimized, human written, plagiarism free, long details blog post. Now, here is a great big prompt that somebody else has already used in there. So, you can look at that massive prompt and it's freaking amazing. And then go, I'm going to copy and paste that prompt and use it in my next thing. So, I can take that, highlight it, copy and paste it, and move it over into there. So, I want you to, and I'll move over here, go into here, change our language back to English so we can see what it's reading. Go for a new chat just to be sure. And it's got that whole thing in there. I'm going to go fluently English. Oops. On English. And write the content so well. So I want you to pretend you can write that. Do not apologize to, and I want the heading to be right. So it's going to then prompt me for certain things. So I'm going to go, okay, that's what I want you to do. Now it should, then it's thinking, because this is a really big prompt. So it's going to take a bit of thinking. So there you go. It's basing it on the secrets of successful plant-based dieting, because that's what the original one was in there. It's breaking it down to heading 1, heading 2, and then introductions and all those kind of things. So it's making a really great kind of article in here. Will require a little bit of fixing up and a little bit of padding out, I think, because, talking about the health benefits of plant-based diet is going to be a little bit more than just simply going, oh yeah, it's 3 lines. We're going to want a little bit more of that. But those community prompts are really powerful and a great way for you to get some more ideas about how some people are using ChatGPT in really innovative and special ways. Well, this next, I'm going to give you 3 bonus points here. So it's going to go a little bit over 10 minutes. Sorry for that if you're on a rush for lunch, but I think you're going to enjoy these. These bonus points are all about giving some extra things that I thought were really cool for me specifically, and you might find them cool as well. The first one is it puts a word and character count in your chats. So for those of you who are trying to generate things of a certain word length, that you can go in there and keep that word length nice and consistent across all your blogs or your articles or your answers in your essays or whatever you're using ChatGPT for, it's going to help you out with that. So I'm going to pop over now and show you what that looks like as the word count in ChatGPT. So we'll go back to our plant-based diet and you'll see that down at bottom here, it's generating a word count of 1,540 characters and 219 words. So when you go and put a prompt into ChatGPT, where you may be asking for it to do something like generate a 1,000 word article, you can check the word count down there and say, no, that's not 1,000 words, make it 1,000 words. And I had that happen a couple of times to me this morning when I was generating some new material to write for an SEO landing page for a client. So that's something which you're going to have to look out for, because it is something which it doesn't necessarily, like, what ChatGPT is. Sometimes it can be so confidently wrong. Now, I've got another one, which is a favorite prompt. So favorite prompts in there is like pinning your favorites to the top of the list. So we've already seen where that is and how you can do that with your folders and moving your prompts up and down. So you've always got your favorite ones at the top and then not necessarily just the latest ones. But one really killer feature I want to show you is quick custom prompts. I really like this. It allows you to choose some quick prompts that are already there to maybe regenerate the stuff you've got, and you can add some of your own. So I'm going to go and share that now, because I think this is something which could be really cool. I can take this here and I say, look, this is sounding really really formal. I want it to sound more Australian. So I've created a prompt that says be more Australian. I call it Aussie. So I put Aussie in there, be more Australian. It will now start to talk in more. It's going a bit Steve Irwin. I was thinking more, I wanted like maybe a Chris Hemsworth rather than a Steve Irwin, but Struth and Crikey, that's a keep your shirt on, mate. We've got a lot of Aussie stuff in there. So you can see a lot of the different processes you might want to put in there. In my case, I'm going to stop that one and I might go, I don't want that. I want to expand. So please expand the last response. So it's going to take those responses, and one of those criticism I had was that they were too short. I'd want to stretch them out a little bit more. So what this is doing is stretching that out a bit more if you want to get a little bit more information out of that. Wow, that's been a lot of information in a very short little webinar. What you probably want to know is how in the heck can you get this in your browser? So I'm going to share on the screen right now a couple of addresses I've created that allow you to get that into your browser and give you the instructions to do it. If you're using Edge or the Chrome browser, stjames.link/superpower, that's just straight to the browser link. Now, if you're on Edge, don't worry, it says Chrome, but it also works on Edge as well. If for Firefox, there's also stjames.link/superpowerff. So that's for Firefox users as well. So screenshot that, take a photo of it. I'll leave it up there for a few seconds longer so you can get hold of that. Don't forget though, this will replay on YouTube at my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/at Clickstarter. That's youtube.com/, Dante St. James is my name, not Clickstarter. Even it's sometimes confusing. The brand's up there and then I'm down here. So yeah, you'll be able to find that. Just search for me on YouTube and you'll find everything you need to know about that. Thank you so much for joining me. My name's Dante St. James. Here's my contact details. I love chatting on LinkedIn particularly. So please make a connection or at least follow me so we can make that connection and start to have a chat about some of the ways that technology can transform your business. I really hope you have a fantastic weekend and a fantastic day. And I hope to see you in the next one of these quick fire, fast webinars that happen during lunchtime right through the week.